Welcome back to Upgrading Andeville. Today we're going to be doing the sawmill. We've got some great design elements here in the vanilla build, and it's important that we hold on to those. So we can see here we've got the place where they actually saw the logs. For the roof I decided we'd actually make it a shingled roof. It's a much larger structure than the blacksmith, so even though it was a similar design style with the roofing with those jungle planks, I decided we'd be better off to put shingles on it instead of the thatch, just because of the style and scale of the build. If we come into the interior here, we can see it's pretty bare bones. Not quite as much detail as what the blacksmith had, but that's sort of good. It gives us a blank slate to work with. Now we can see on the front porch here we've got a pile of firewood. We go around the side, we've got more firewood sort of being stored, and the back of the stove in there. Basically there's timber stored almost everywhere with this build, and I really like the build. I think it's definitely upgradable though. What we can do with this particular project is we're going to be able to elevate it quite drastically, far more than we were able to with the blacksmith, but then still hold on to those vanilla elements that Andy Yoda and his team did so much hard work to put into this build. Now let's jump into the story and time lapse. The family who live in the sawmill are new to Andeville and settling into life in the town. They used to live in the much bigger city of Sawyer, where the Sawyer would ply his trade and earn a comfortable living. When the new lord moved into the hastily constructed keep that overlooks the town of Andeville, the Sawyer was asked one of those questions that you don't dare say no to. He knew the lord had a reputation for being ruthless and manipulative, and was fearful for his family if he had refused this job opportunity, and so, with that, he uprooted his life and moved into the town. On the upside, the profitability potential of the new business far exceeded his old one. Since his move, the Sawyer had been given a good rundown of the previous occupant and now knew of the man who used to run this mill by reputation alone. The previous Sawyer, by all accounts, was a drunk and a miscreant that shouldn't have been able to hold a bow saw, let alone run a mill of this size. But when the Sawyer arrived, the mill was in good repair and things seemed to be running smoothly. Now that they were in the town, he couldn't shake the question of what happened to have this position open up for him. From a business standpoint, the Sawyer could not ask for a better opportunity. The space was still being cleared around the keep for more military installations. The supply of timber was consistent and cheap. The sawmill was also set up for more than just making planks, with the branch cut-offs being collected for kindling to supply the charcoal burner, and a respectable wood carving station for making more ornate timber pieces. The mill was even equipped with a small stables for a draft horse to move the massive logs around. The Sawyer has every part of the mill running smoothly except for the wood carving. The man who used to work that station had fled to Andeville not long after the previous Sawyer was removed. Most of the locals say he left out of loyalty, but others would whisper in hushed tones that the man had gone crazy with talk of conspiracies and murder. Pieces of the wood carving work still stand in the mill unfinished, and he would have to find time to complete them for the waiting customers. The Sawyer would need to hire someone else soon to fill that position, as he had his hands full running the rest of this incredibly busy mill. Another element that struck the Sawyer as unusual was all the trees through the town. It would be far more efficient to remove these trees for milling than sourcing them from elsewhere, which was clearly what had been happening for a long time. He would need to talk to the mayor about this, as there was good timber he could use literally meters from his mill. The Sawyer had heard the mayor to be quite the opposite of the new lord, being an amiable and unusually carefree man. The mayor still oversaw the day-to-day running of the town, while the lord was tasked with increasing the defences and militarising Andeville. Overall, life was good for the Sawyer and his family in Andeville, and he enjoyed the challenging work. There was a mystery to this town, however, and he was afraid uncovering any truths would mean his newly attained position would again become vacant. He would resist the urge to ask any questions of the newly appointed lord. Here we are back in the upgraded sawmill. Let's go and have a look around to see some of the features that we've added to this build. You can see we've still maintained the shape and style of this building, and you can tell it's the same building coming out the other end, and that was important to me. I want to hold on to those vanilla aspects of the build. The idea here is to upgrade those builds, not just completely replace them. So here we can see we had some scaffolding in this position just here before. We've thrown in some planks that sort of look like piles of planks stacked up in the corner here. Over here is where they had the actual cutting machine for the sawmill, but back in medieval times they didn't really have mechanical saws as much. So what we've got here is the old-fashioned way, where they used to use these wedges, and they would hammer in the wedges and split the timbers open down the length of their grain. So we've tried to recreate that a little bit. This space was just used for storage, so we've created different parts of the business within this area. So here we can see there's some large carving going on for some ornate timbers. As we go over here, we've got a similar carving station set up for smaller items. Across here we've got a little bow saw. This is from Victory Mod, this particular block. Sawing up some smaller logs into usable pieces for the carving area. Over here we're stripping the logs, so we're stripping the bark off of them. I think that's looking really nice. I like how effective that is. As we come around this space, we can see we've got our little stables here for the draft horse. We've just attached that to the side where the chimney was running up. We've got an internal chimney happening now, so that's freed up some space to build this out here. I think it's come up pretty good. A little bit of comfortable living for the draft horse just there. You can see we've done a ton of terrain work around this space to make the roads feel a bit more sort of natural and organic. You can see I've put a lot of leaf litter in through here as well because of all the trees that are around the place. As we come across here, you can see we've got the firewood piled up here. They would use this firewood for the charcoal makers over there. Now let's come in and have a quick look at the interiors here. Pretty simple living as well. So we've got a couple of beds downstairs for the kids, for the family of the Sawyer, and then we've just got the double bed. It's reasonably comfortable living, but yeah, it's a nice little space for them to live in. We've got the furnace and chimney here for all their cooking, and some table and chairs where they would eat their food. Overall, it's fairly simple, but I think it's a really effective little space. I'm really proud of how this build has turned out. I think we've definitely made a good upgrade, a good solid upgrade to the vanilla build that was here, using the Conquest Reforged blocks. It's really helped create some atmosphere with a story that's attached to the place as well. And we'll be developing the story of Andeville as we upgrade these towns and tell the stories of each of the people that live within the town. Coming up next, we have a very, very quick before and after sequence of what we've created in this space. Alright, thanks for watching.